Hi, this is Kim from Emerging Creatively Tutorials, and this is ECT TV, episode 24. How you doing? So, if you follow my Facebook page and you are watching this video kind of live when I post it, which is the second week in August of 2014, you may know that today is the second day of a 5-day creativity challenge that I'm holding. So basically the challenge is every day for 5 days, spend 15 minutes being creative. Just commit to 15 minutes and do it. And at the end, we'll see how we feel. Maybe it will become part of our routine and we'll have our creative juices going. So for the challenge, it doesn't have to be jewelry related. You could be writing, you could be painting, embroidering, knitting, drawing, doodling, or, you know, of course, you can be making jewelry, scrapbooking. So I am trying to do some scrapbooking during the Creativity Challenge, just because I love the scrapbook, and I haven't done it because I haven't made time. But 15 minutes doesn't seem like a lot of time. But that 15 minutes builds on the next 15 minutes, on the next 15 minutes, etc. So I'm hoping that this challenge really boosts everybody's creativity, and then we start feeling like being creative every single day. So even if you aren't watching this, you know, when I post it, say it's a couple years from now, I still challenge you to take the next 5 days and set aside 15 minutes every day to be creative. So to be successful in adding those 15 minutes of creativity to your day every day, I suggest you kind of get a little prepared ahead of time. Make sure you have the supplies you need, the tools you need. If you want to be painting, for example, make sure you have the paper, the canvas, the brushes, the paint you want, everything ready. And I suggest even gathering it all together in one spot so it's ready to go each day. And then kind of think about in your daily schedule where you can fit in 15 minutes. So will that 15 minutes be you're going to wake up 15 minutes earlier before the kids or before your day gets going, before work, whatever you have on your schedule, and be creative first thing in the morning. That way you always know you have time. Or maybe it's the 15 minutes after you get home from work. Maybe it's after supper. Perhaps it's after you tuck your little ones in bed. Or maybe you're night out and you stay up 15 minutes later. So just think about where it will fit in, because if you don't actually think about that, you may never fit it in your day, because I know, we're all very busy. And what I'm finding this summer is I love summer because of the freedom and the flexibility, and you know, you kind of get off your schedule and you're doing fun things. And my husband has a really weird schedule, so he has strange days off here and there. So since I work from home, I take off days to match around his schedule. But that throws me off. So sometimes it's hard to get into a set routine. And then I'm finding, although yes, I make jewelry and I do these videos and I have e-courses and jewelry making patterns that I do, I often don't take the time to be creative just for myself. So that's what I'm using these 15 minutes a day for. So if you're watching this when I'm just releasing it, I'll give you a link. If you go over to KimberlyKoehler.com to the kind of show notes for this episode, I will give you the link to the Creativity Challenge so you can join in. all you really have to do. You don't have to actually do anything. Just do your 15 minutes and that's great. If you want to check in, I'm posting on Facebook a check-in post every single day. So you can go and check in there. You could just say, I'm done. You could say, I made a pair of earrings. You could say, you know, what you did. You could put a picture of what you did, which would be amazing. Or, like I said, you can simply just say, done, and be done with it. And that way you've checked in, you have some accountability. So today is Tuesday, if you're watching this when I'm uploading it. So it's day 2. So jump in and get creative. And like I said, for anybody who's watching this in the future, hello future people, just set aside 5 days and give it a try, and you can still come and check in and say that you're doing it, and I will give you some encouragement. And good luck to you, and I'm excited to get creative with you. So, since we are in the middle of our 15-minute-a-day, 5-day creativity challenge, I thought it would be a good opportunity to show you a earring tutorial, because earrings can be pretty quick to make, you know, depending on the design, but I'm going to show you a very beautiful, elegant pair of earrings you can make in very little time. They are relatively simple to make. If you've been following all along with all the different ECT TV episodes, you'll probably have no problem with this. If you're very new to jewelry making and haven't worked with wire a lot, it might be a little more challenging, but I'm going to show you very clearly, step by step in this video, how to make them. So I think you can be successful if you have patience and are, you know, patient with yourself and have confidence. So we can do this. So next up is the tutorial, and let's make some earrings. So before we get started on the actual earring tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to make an earring wire. You can certainly just purchase these already made from the store, but as you will see, these are pretty simple and quick to make. And it's nice to have the skill in case you're ever in a pinch where you're out of earring wires, but you want to make a pair of earrings. So I'll teach you how to make these earring wires. They're just simple. So you're going to get kind of 2 tutorials for the price of 1 this week. Alrighty. So this is what you'll need to make a pair of earring wires. You're going to need wire, 20 gauge half hard wire. If you have metal allergies and you want to make sure you use a metal that, you know, doesn't make your ears turn colors or hurt. I do not have ear issues with wires anyway, and so I'm using silver plated copper wire, and this is just from the craft store. You could use sterling silver or copper, whatever you want to use, as long as you know it doesn't irritate your ears. If you do have, you know, allergies to metal, then you want to use sterling silver, at least for your earring wires, because that's the part that will actually be going into your ears. If this is the first time you're making earring wires, though, I would suggest practicing on a different metal to see how it works. Again, this is 20 gauge, which is kind of the standard for earring wires, but if you find it's uncomfortable, you might want to go to a smaller gauge like 22 gauge, or you could maybe even go up to a thicker gauge if you wanted to, but 20 gauge is basically the standard. So this is 20 gauge half hard wire. Okay, so then the tools that you will need are some wire cutters. You'll need round nose pliers, chain nose pliers, a Sharpie, and then you'll need, oh, sorry about that, a steel block, or, you know, an anvil, and a rawhide or nylon hammer. And then a jewelry file. If you don't have a jewelry file, you can easily use sandpaper or, you know, a nail file, emery board type thing. And actually, you don't have to get like the specific jewelry file. You can get those. They have files at the hardware store that work just fine for this as well. So these are the tools you'll need. Okay, so to get started, we're going to cut 3 inches of this wire, but I'm just going to do a flush cut on the end first, and then straighten this out just a little bit, and then measure 3 inches and do a flush cut on that end as well. And you want to actually make 2 because you're going to make a pair of earrings. And so the 3 inches doesn't necessarily have to be perfect, but you want your earrings to be the same, so just make sure they're the same length. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little tip to make your loops on your earring wires uniform. You want a Sharpie and your round nose pliers, and we're going to just make a mark on the round nose pliers. And this mark doesn't really matter so much exactly where you put it, because it just matters that your loops are uniform. But I like to make it for earring wire loops close to the tip. And so you just make a mark with your Sharpie. And it doesn't really stay on permanently, but you can remark it for, you know, each project. And you don't have to use purple, but I love purple, so I did. Okay, so next we're going to start with a loop on the end of our earring wire, and it's helpful if you do each part of the tutorial on each earring wire as you go, instead of making one and then the other. It's helpful, so it makes them more uniform. Alright, so we're going to make a loop, and so you just take your wire that you cut and hold it in your round nose pliers. The end should be at the top of the pliers, but not poking through. You should probably run your finger over it, and then it should be lined up with that mark you just made. And so we're going to twist away with our right wrist, and with our left, we're going to wrap the wire around the pliers. So you just sort of hold it. You're kind of just holding your thumb against it so it wraps around. Go as far as you can. Then you readjust. And then you just make sure that loop is still lined up with that mark you made, and make sure that the wire is flat against the pliers still. And then you just do the same thing to finish. And you have a loop. And then just repeat it for the other earring wire. Alright, so we have that. And now we're going to get our Sharpie again, but this time we're going to use it to twist the wire around. You could also use like a ring mandrel or something, anything that's cylindrical that you could wrap this around. And then we're just going to wrap to make the hook of the earring, like so. And then I'm just going to kind of, you could actually what I usually do is just do them at the same time so they're the same size, but I'm just going to do it. And as you see, the hook side is smaller. You can see that the side is longer. And then I'm just going to hold these together. Just go down. I like to do this kind of right across from where the little loop you made is, if I could get a hold of them. Well, I'll just show you on one, and just bend it back a little. Alright, and so kind of have them here. And now we're going to grab our hammer and metal block. Alright, so we have our metal block, our steel block, and this is a nylon hammer, or you can use rawhide or a plastic hammer, and we're just going to hammer this earring wire so it hardens and it keeps its shape. We're not flattening it, that's why we're using this sort of hammer. If you wanted to flatten it, I guess you could, and then you would use a chasing hammer, which I don't have at hand at this moment, but chasing hammers are metal and have the big flat surface. So I'm just going to hammer both earring wires. Alright, so I have my hammered earring wires. So now, just so that these are comfortable to wear and put on, we're just going to file the end of the wire that will be going into your ear. And I just like to round it off. It doesn't really take a lot of filing. And you just do that for both earring wires. And you can just rub it, just, with your finger to see if you got it. Okay. Alright, so we have our earring wires, and we're going to put them aside for now. And now we're going to work on the actual earrings, the pretty part. So for this part, we're going to need beads. I invite you to use whatever beads you want. They should be kind of on the small side. I'm using these beads. They're from Happy Mango Beads. They are assorted rondelle glass beads, 4 to 6 millimeters, so they're small, and these are pretty and they're multicolored, which I really liked. So if you want to make exactly what I'm making, go to Happy Mango Beads, look for assorted rondelle glass beads, and find them there. Or use any small beads. You could even use just like seed beads for this. I'm actually going to use 22 gauge half hard wire for this. 20 gauge would work fine too. I'm just going to use a kind of smaller gauge so it's just a little bit easier to manipulate for this part. You will need wire cutters. You'll need round nose pliers. You will need chain nose pliers. And then another pair of pliers. I'm going to use bent nose pliers because we're going to be wrapping, so it's handy to have an extra pair of pliers. It could be another pair of chain nose pliers or square tip pliers, needle nose, whatever you feel comfortable with and have is fine. Alright, so the first step is to cut the wire, and how much you want to cut depends on how big you want to make your hoops. I'm going with kind of not huge, kind of a smaller, maybe a medium-sized pair of hoops. So I'm going to cut about 8 inches, and I'll be making a flush cut on both sides. And then you want to cut 2 pieces of this wire the same size. Alright, and just kind of loosely make your wire into kind of a teardrop shape. We'll make it more secure later, but you just want to kind of generally get that general shape before you start beading. Alright, so the next step is to actually add our beads. Oh, and there's something so sad to me about cutting open a new strand of beads. I don't know why. It's also exciting, but it's like, oh, it's not new anymore. So I'm going to pull some of those off, and I'm just going to go ahead and bead on here. These are all different colors, so I'm just randomly placing them on the wire just like they were on the strand. And so you want to bead, and you're going to leave, I'd say about 2 inches on either side when you're done. Okay, so you kind of end up with something like this. So I have all beaded, and then you have just a couple inches on each end left. So now you just make sure all the beads are together, and then we're going to just twist the wire right at the top. So the beads are in a continuous oval here. It's kind of a teardrop shape. And I would say if you want to do a different shape, like you want to do like a perfect circle, that's fine too. So I twisted around once. I think I'm going to do a second twist just to make sure it's secure. And now I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, and I'm going to hold on to one of these wires. And actually first, before I do that, I'm going to make another mark on my round nose pliers. So we made this mark closer to the tip when we made the earring wires, and for these loops I want them to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to make my mark kind of about halfway down, and again, it doesn't particularly matter so much exactly where the mark is on your round nose pliers, just that you use the same mark throughout your project. So now I'm going to grab a hold of this wire, just one of the wires, and line it up with that mark I just made. And I'm just going to leave a tiny bit of room between where my pliers are and where the twist we just made in the beads are, just a tiny bit of room so a wire could fit in between. And then you just wrap the wire around the bent nose, or I'm sorry, the round nose pliers toward you, and then kind of in between the pliers and that knot. And so then we take it off the round nose pliers and we grab our chain nose pliers. And then here I just straighten out the wire so it's straight above our hoop here. And then we're just going to wrap around the wire. And then you can use just your hand to wrap the wire, or this is where bent nose pliers would come in handy. And we're just going to go ahead and make wraps around, and then with the other wire we're just going to wrap around too, and just go in the direction that the wire is naturally going. For some reason I'm having just a little bit of trouble holding on, but these things do happen, Alright, and just wrap around a few times till you like how it looks, and then you just trim off the extra wire. And then you just take your chain nose pliers again and just make sure that the ends are not poking out, and you can even do this little kind of take your pliers and go around like that. So then you have one hoop, and then repeat the exact same thing for the second hoop. So I just also wanted to add, when I was beading these, I just kind of measured them together to make sure that they were the same size as I went along. But what you could do if you are more a perfectionist or a little OCD, you could count all the beads, and then you know exactly that you have the same amount on each one, and so you would have the same size. So now all there's left is to add these to the earring wires that we made earlier. So you need chain nose pliers, and you just open up the loop, and this is like opening up a jump ring. You don't want to just open the loop out, you want to kind of hold it in the chain nose pliers, and I just kind of hold the earring wire in my hand and then twist it away. And so this loop stays in a circle, but it's open. So you don't want to pull it apart, you just want to open it. And then you just slide one hoop in there, and then do the opposite. Okay. And have one, and then just do the same thing again. So just open up that loop, slide that in, and close it. And now you have these awesome hoop earrings. I really love the beads I chose. I think they're colorful, but they're kind of muted. And you can use, like I said, any beads you want. These will be pretty with pearls, or really any beads. Seed beads will be great. Just keep in mind that you're wearing them in your ears, so heavy beads might not be the best idea. So that is beaded hoop earrings, and I can't wait to wear mine. If you love making earrings like I do, I have a cool thing coming up. I haven't even really released it or talked too much about it yet, but I'm going to tell you right now just a little bit. I am going to be having a craft along in September. It's called Earrings Every Day. So every day for September you make a pair of earrings. It's free to join in for Earrings Every Day, and I'm going to have a sign up. Hopefully by the time you see this, the sign up will be on my website. And so you can join a newsletter, and then every single day I will send you inspirational photos of earrings that will hopefully inspire you to make earrings every single day. I'm also at the same time going to be running an earrings e-course. So you will pay for the earrings e-course, but with the earrings e-course you're actually going to be getting 30 different earring tutorials. Some will be videos, some will be PDFs, and you every single day are going to get a new tutorial on how to make a pair of earrings, and the price is going to be very low, and it's going to run alongside of Earrings Every Day. In fact, Earrings Every Day, you kind of get the inspirational photos. If it's, you know, sometimes you'll get a link to a blog post, or, you know, where the tutorial is. But the earrings e-course, you actually get the tutorial on how to make it. So it'll either be video or PDF. So look for more information in the next, you know, week or so you can get signed up for one of those. I can't wait. Now that I'm doing this 5-day creativity challenge, it's really gotten me excited to go even further. So, alright, hop on over to KimberlyKoehler.com for more information on everything. You'll get a photographic tutorial, you know, the tutorial in words and photos on the blog, links to everything I talked about, and you can sign up for my newsletter when you get over there, and that way you never miss an episode, because I'll send it right to your inbox, and you get a PDF of the tutorial, so you can download it and keep it and print it. You take it to your work table, whatever you want to do, and you get a bonus, a free 14-day e-course when you sign up for my newsletter. Every day for 14 days you get a little bite-size lesson. It's an intro to jewelry making, so if you want to learn more about tools and some techniques, especially with wire, because I use a lot of wire and that's kind of my passion, I highly suggest you go over to KimberlyKoehler.com and sign up for my newsletter. So I will see you over there. The link is below, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.